In English, the basic sentence structure goes like this. I love you. It goes in the order of subject, verb, and then the object, right? But in Korean, the placement order is different. Subject comes first, and then object, and then comes the verb. So I in Korean is 나, you is 너, and love is 사랑하다. But you shouldn't leave the sentence this way because it's grammatically wrong to say or write like this. So here's the correct sentence. 나는 너를 사랑해. So let me explain one by one what exactly is changed. So 는 here and 를 here are called the particles or postpositions. They're always attached behind the noun. There are many types of postpositions, each with different meaning and with different variation depending on the noun that comes before it. 는 here has an official name, which is the topic particles, but I prefer to call it a subject marker because by using this particle, you indicate that the noun is the subject of what you're about to say or write. 는 is replaced by 은 when the noun ends with the final consonant. It's for the sake of the easiness of the pronunciation. So 나 doesn't have the final consonant, and that's why 는 is placed for the subject marker. But if the subject was 휴대폰, which means a cell phone, you have to say 휴대폰은 because it ends with the final consonant. There are other types of subject markers, which is 이 and 가. They are all subject markers, but each has a slightly different meaning and usage. And it would take a really, really long lesson to explain everything about this, so we'll go over it in the separate future lessons. So I'll just leave it at this for now. Moving on to 를. This is an object marker. If the noun ends with the final consonant, it should be replaced with 을. So 너를 and 휴대폰을 would be the right form. Other than 를 and 을, 은, 는, 이, 가, the subject markers that we just learned, can also be used as object markers. 은, 는, and 이, 가 can mark both the subject and the object. And in this case as well, each conveys slightly different meaning. This also has to be dealt with in a separate lesson. So for now, just having the knowledge of what a subject marker is and what an object marker is would be enough. Let's move on to the most exciting part, the verb 사랑하다 changed to 사랑해. And how did that happen? So every Korean verb has the base form, the mother form that gives birth to every other form. It's most commonly known as a dictionary form, and it ends with 다. And so the verb loves base form in Korean is 사랑하다. But when we put the verb into a Korean sentence, it must be conjugated. Otherwise, you'll sound like a robot. So conjugation means it changes its form by replacing the verb ending with another verb ending that has different meaning. So here is the list of verb endings in Korean, which obviously we can't go over in just one lesson, but it's important that you know about verb conjugation because in Korean language, or probably in most languages, verb is the most significant constituent in a sentence because it conveys most of the meaning. Now that you have basic understanding of Korean sentence structure, let's try a few more sentences. Jeff knows me. To translate this into Korean, Jeff, subject should come first, and then the object, and then the verb comes, right? So it should be in the order of Jeff, me, knows, 제프, 나, 알다. This also sounds like a robot, and we have to conjugate the verb properly, and we also need to put some particles next to the nouns. 제프는 나를 알아 would be a correct form. Oh, and one more thing about Korean verb is that we don't have subject-verb agreement rule, which is you have different verb forms depending on the nature of the subject. For example, in English, it should be I know and not I knows, and she knows and not she know. And people have, not people has. Rules like this. In Korean verb, we don't have that rule, so whatever the subject of the verb is, it doesn't affect the form of the verb. Only the meaning decides which verb ending you're going to use and how it's going to get conjugated. Actually, 제프는 나를 알아 isn't the only way of saying I know Jeff in Korean. In almost every Korean sentence, there is a formal form and informal form. 존댓말 and 반말. They have different forms but mean the same thing. And other than that, you can also say 제프 나 알아 or 제프 저 알아요, which are the same with the above two sentences, except that the particles are removed here. And this works fine here, it's grammatically acceptable, but that doesn't mean the particles are always removable. Whether they're removable or not depends on the context. And this is something that you'll get the hang of as you learn more and get more used to Korean language. So at a beginner's level, it's safer and more helpful to stick to the standard grammar and practice in 100% complete sentence. I just mentioned this so that you don't get confused when you encounter sentences like this where there's no particles in the sentence. And let's practice with one more sentence. I eat breakfast. I, breakfast, eat, right? 나, 아침, 먹다. And it should be 나는 아침을 먹어. And for formal form, 저는 아침을 먹어요. Okay, so now let's specifically look at how to conjugate verbs, although not everything, but I want to help you get the gist of it so that you'll be able to follow the next coming grammar lessons a lot easily. So the verbs in the previous 3 example sentences were 사랑하다, 알다, 먹다, and each changed to 사랑해, 알아, 먹어. These endings are all the present tense verb ending, but you might be wondering, if they're the same type of a verb ending, how come they look so different? When do I know which one to put? And that all depends on what the last letter of stem verb looks like. And stem verbs are basically these. This whole word is the base form of the verb, like we just learned, and 다 is always attached in the base form, but when conjugated, they are removed. And the stem verbs are these, the remaining letters. And depending on the last letter of the stem verb, you decide the form of the verb ending. So for verbs like 사랑하다 or 하다 or 존경하다, whose stem verb ends with 하, they become conjugated by replacing 하 with 해. So 사랑하다, present tense, becomes 사랑해, 하다, 해, 존경하다, 존경해. And for the verbs like 알다, 살다, whose stem verb has a vowel and final consonant, you just add a to conjugate it to a present tense form. So 알다's present tense is 알아, 살다, 살아. So this means know, and 살다 means live. And let's put them into practice and make some sentences. 나는 방탄소년단을 알아. 나는 방탄소년단을 알아. 나는 is I as a subject because there's a subject marker here, and we can know that this is object by 을 because it's an object marker. 방탄소년단. 방탄소년단 is the Korean name for BTS, and this is the verb that means know in present tense. So this means, and how about the next one? 나는 is obviously a subject. Now you can know that, right? And object is 삶, but you can see that there is an additional word before the object, 행복한, and this is an adjective that means happy. And the adjectives that are placed before the noun that it modifies has 니은 받침, 니은 final consonant form. And moving on to the next word, 삶 means life. So it means I live a happy life. And one more thing, so in English you put the article here, but in Korean there is no designated article form in Korean. So you can just put the noun without the article. And lastly, for verbs like 먹다 and 열다, whose stem verbs have 어 or 여 as vowel and a final consonant, 어 should be used to conjugate it to a present form. So 먹다's present tense form is 먹어, and 열다's present tense is 열어. So let's put these verbs into practice as well. 나는 야채를 먹어. I, the subject, 먹어, eat, and 야채 means the vegetable. So it means I eat vegetables, and 나는 문을 열어. I, door, open. So it means I open the door. Let's briefly go over how past verb conjugation works as well. So 사랑해, 존경해, they are all present form, right? And you put double 시읒 and then 어. 사랑했어, 존경했어. They are the past form. 살았어, 알았어, 먹었어, 열었어. 사랑했어요, 존경했어요, 살았어요, 알았어요, 먹었어요, 열었어요. 사랑했습니다. 존경했습니다. 살았습니다. 알았습니다. 먹었습니다. 열었습니다. So this lesson was just a big picture of Korean grammar, although I tried my best to be as specific as I found necessary. But in the next grammar lessons, we will go over different verb endings one by one with more examples. And as you can feel with this lesson, there's a lot to learn and memorize to use Korean verbs correctly and to say everything that you mean by using the verbs. But I hope you don't get overwhelmed too much because it gets easier as you keep practicing. And I suggest that you allocate a small chunk of time every day to memorize at least 10 verbs, the base forms of the verbs, and practice conjugating each of them by using the verb ending that you learned. So that was it for the lesson, and guys, at some point I might go live. I might do a live class, maybe not for the lessons like this, but maybe we can practice pronunciation or reading or making sentences. So live classes are most likely to be practicing together session, and I'll let you know more about it once my plans are sorted out. But let me know in the comment section what you need extra help in with the live class. It could be pronunciation, it could be a specific verb ending that you find difficulty putting into use. It could be reading numbers. It could be any difficulty that you have while studying Korean. I look forward to your comments. Thank you so much for studying with me, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.